Some might call me crazy or stupid for trying to restore this 1964 CT200 Trail 90. They'd probably be right. Probably is stupid. But this is the 3,887th one of these bad boys ever made out of, I don't know how many, a million? I don't know, I had to look that up. If you know, let me know. So I'm gonna take you along here and there. I don't film everything. I'm not a YouTuber, but I enjoy doing this. If you learn something, awesome. If it's entertaining watching an idiot try to rebuild this and get it back on the road, that's great. If you wanna check out my other couple videos I have, which are not very good quality, but you can check out this one. Not what you'd call a restoration, otherwise people will come after you. But this was in the same condition as that. Everything froze, everything seized. There'll be a little bit more on that later. But teach me something in the comments below. I welcome it, and hopefully you enjoy it. Subscribe if you like it, and who knows? Maybe I can make a little No. Okay, after rescuing this thing from a field with the intent of using a good speedometer and some good levers and throttle and pieces of the engine, components that work, I've rebuilt the carburetor, I've unseized the piston, I have put new rings in, and gone through the wiring, picked up a 6-volt battery, put some fuel down into this makeshift fuel line into the carburetor, setting the timing, putting in a new spark plug, making sure the ignition coil works and we have fire there, buying a key off the interweb that fit the existing ignition. We'll give it a fire. Of course, that's a lot of work for a little bit of run time. And I have a matching engine over here, and I'm gonna get it back on the road, kind of like I have with this one, except not so pretty. So in this fabulously exciting scene here, I'm taking off this gas tank that was stuck. The bolt snapped off and it's jammed in there, so prying it, pulling it, drilling it, twisting it. Lots of exciting stuff here. Every bolt on this thing seems to be seized. All right, here's the dealio. I gotta figure out which one of these tanks is the lesser of two evils. This comes off of the early model CT200, model number 3, or serial number, or I guess VIN number 3886, if I remember correctly. This is from probably the second or third year, 65 or 66, and it looks like it has developed a leak somewhere in here. Doesn't look like it came from here, and it leaked all down the side. So I don't think I want to deal with that, and it is bad in there. Oh, that is just gummy. I think that leaves me with this guy. But he's clearly had a repair. I think what I need to do is get these off, plug the holes, put a little gas in it, or a rust remover, and see what I'm up against. Maybe. So the story behind this is my father-in-law bought a 52 Chevy Bel Air in a field in Idaho. And when the gentleman sold it to us, I saw two really beat up CT200s. I just called them a Trail 90 till I learned that the first few years of the Trail 90s were not designated off the engine size. They still called them Trail 90s, but the model was a CT200. And I guess about late 60s, mid 60s, Honda started changing their model names to the engine displacement. So changed them to the CT90s. But these are technically CT200s. I restored one. I can't call it a restoration or people get all over me. I brought one back to running condition using a Life in 125 engine. That's this guy. I've got another video, not a good build video, but those are the original rims. They were rusted out. They looked, well, this is what it looked like before I got to it. And I removed every bolt, every nut, every screw. I just ran all new wiring harnesses. Actually created my own wiring harness. Correction. You can see it's got aftermarket doodads up here, switches and whatnot. Put a decent carb on it. Original rims, although they were rusted through. One of your best friends in a project like this is evaporust or evaporust. I don't know how to pronounce it. That stuff is quite miraculous. Original seat base. Of course, that was all rusted out like the current one I'm working on. My hope is to restore this guy using some of that engine, some of the original engine of this, especially the case, and not make it pretty like this. Initially, I just want to buff out the oxidized paint and clear coat it or cover the rusty areas and get it back on the road. I'll probably use, this is just seized, and I don't think this is gonna work too well. Hey, no, look at that. Ooh, it's going 40. I'll use parts from this. This is the air cleaner housing on the early ones. They had a hose that came down and goes to here. I have it, but it's rough. So finally able to get this unseized, new rings, adjustments here, adjustments on the timing, using the original ignition and wiring harness. I will use parts from this, like plastic, headlight, speedo. Even works if you spin that tire, as you can see. So I'm gonna make one running bike. Probably use the handlebars, and this stuff actually still works on this bike, although it is clearly in really bad shape. Just bought new tires and tubes. I'll look at the brakes when I change those out, and I don't think this exhaust is gonna make it. Of course, that one doesn't have one at all, so maybe it'll have to do for a while. The one is in front of all of them. So 03887, not 886, 3887. So to my understanding, this is the 3,887th Trail 90 that was ever made. I've got the matching engine over there. This is, as you can see, there's the one, but 18644, so 18,644, and then there's the CT200. If you want to take a look at this one, for example, it's harder to see. with my base in clear, but there you've got 140624. So that is the 40,624th. So when I got a title on this through the state of Utah, they called this a 66. And they called this a 64, which makes sense because it's one of the first 4,000s. So that's a 64, that's a 66. I'm assuming this is either a late 64 or a 65. I'm not sure how many they made the first years. Could probably look that up somewhere. If you know, put it down there. As Derek would say, bleep bloop it below. And I'm gonna take my time on this. This one I felt stressed and pressured and rushed through and then turned my garage into a paint booth. You can check this out on my YouTube channel. I don't have a documented video after video restoring this, but I do have a video that shows some video, lots of still pics. Go check that out. I think you'd enjoy that. And I walk through like where I got these electronics, and there's my two other engines. This is from the bike I put the life in, the yellow one that you just saw. This one's from that original OG CT200 or Trail 90. I used the carb off of this one and rebuilt it. I have a video on the channel that shows me unseizing this piston right here. Now getting the rings out of that piston was actually 4.8 times harder than actually unseizing the piston. So, but it's possible, it's doable. Use the original piston, honed out the cylinder on that other one, and turned it over this morning for the first time. That was exciting. You can buy these little doodads online. They're pretty nice to be able to stop stuff up. I'm gonna stop this up, fill it up, and see if it leaks. There's this Evapo Rust. It's water-based. There's no real scent to it. Non-toxic, biodegradable. For all you green people out there, it looks like lemon lime Gatorade when you pour it out. This is very used. Lots of grease in it. I'm experimenting with a pump and a filter, fuel filter. See if I can rejuvenate. Well, I don't see any leaks yet, but I think it would just be weeping if it is. You can soak rusty parts in this. You'd be absolutely amazed at how they would come out. Doesn't seem real, but the rust, this is a rusted chain, just absolutely. There's all the rust, coated with rust. And as it's soaked here for a few days, you literally wipe the rust off and you have this treated steel underneath, whatever metal that is. So I'm gonna let that sit for a little while, come back to it, see if we got any leaks. Well, a guy's been rubbing on this for a bit. I've been watching too much Vice Grip Garage. You can see I put a little bit of 3M light cutting polish and wax. There's the red. You're getting different colors of orange. Of course, I didn't touch that, but this girl was red at one point. And I think the more I rub out, the deeper the red is going to be. So I'm kind of looking forward to rubbing this out, the whole bike, getting this red color back. Not worrying about the rust and the dents and the dings, the history of this bike. I don't think I finished up my story about these two bikes. Quickly, my My father-in-law and I went up and picked up that 52 Chevy in the field, and we saw the two bikes there, and I asked the owner, he's like, they're junk, and he was right. And so we went back up a few weeks later, threw them in the back of my truck and brought them home, and they sat for several years. That's the story. There's no titles, obviously, so with enough documentation and pictures, the great state of Utah was kind enough to give me 2 titles, one for each bike, and that'll be nice when I go to get them licensed. I've already got the other one licensed, but not without a title. Wasn't that an exciting story? Okay, I don't see any leaks on this. The only leaks I was having was out these guys, so this seems to be sealed up at least from here down, which is the part I was worried about. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the original tank, and I like that because the inside's in better shape, the stickers are in better shape, and I'm pretty sure this one has a hole in it and is filled with about 10 gallons of varnish. So until next time, we'll see ya.